And hello everyone, this is NGM Features and I'm Janet and I'm here with Grace Crosby. Grace, we have known each other for over a decade. You are coming from Florida and I'm so glad that you have hopped on here. And so I want to make sure you get enough time. One of the things I talked to you a little bit about was landscaping. You know, we talked about how Florida has some maybe seasonal weather going on right now, Lynchburg as well. When we moved out from the Seattle area and we moved to Lynchburg, my husband, if anyone knows that he loves to garden, he loves to landscape, there was a lot of different things that he was doing out there. And when we moved to Virginia, the flowers, the plants, things like that, some things worked, some things didn't. And so we see that when it comes to gardening, that not everything in the Northwest is going to transport and get transplanted here and look the same. We know the same thing. I thought, what a neat analogy with ministry, because sometimes we do things in one area of the country or one country and it doesn't work in another area. And so I have Grace here coming with 12 plus years experience. Grace, you've been doing student ministry, I think, in a volunteer role, in a paid role, internship, things like that. You've been doing this for quite some time, and I am so glad that you are here today. But as we talk about landscape and we talk about landscape and ministry, really spending time with and building relationships, even to the point of discipleship, what does that look like? I really would love to hear from you, maybe an example of a success in discipleship. Could you share just something as far as discipleship and how you've spent time with someone or your relationship building in ministry?
Yeah, absolutely. Currently have a wonderful relationship with a student. Been building it now for the past 3 to 4 years, almost 4 years. We actually went to the same church, and then I ended up leaving, and then her family actually followed us to the same church, and so started getting involved in the youth ministry there. She was very quiet at first, and then she lived up the road from me, and her parents were busy with like 4 other kids, so she's one of 5 kids. And I just started randomly offering, just saying, hey, I can pick her up. I can bring her to church on Sundays if you guys got soccer games going on, or, you know, she wants to come to youth group and hang out. And so that's how it all started, was us just driving in the car, hanging out, having conversations. And a lot of it was just small talk. And then over time, it just started to build from not just being relational, goofing, having fun, getting lunch or milkshakes or going to movies, but to then her actually opening up about bigger issues, things that she was experiencing with her friends, even for herself, and having really good theological conversations. She was like asking questions, and like her parents would actually go, I don't know the answer, ask your youth leader. And so it was really awesome how we got to a point of having fun to small talk, and then building that trust over time to her actually like going, you know, what should my view on homosexuality be, you know, and like seeing her friends struggle with things, and for her being a believer, and how does she cope in this new world. And so it's been a joy and a privilege, definitely, not just growing in our friendship, but being able to guide her in how she should go walk in her faith.
Right. That's so neat. So 3 to 4 years, and how this just doesn't happen overnight. These are relationships that get deeper and deeper and deeper. So that's a huge success, and that you're still doing that, even answering some of those tough, hot topic questions, right? Have you found that maybe in a different landscape? I know you've served in a lot of different places, but has there ever been a challenge or a success maybe in a different location too, you know, where you would maybe do discipleship a little bit different? I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I feel like growing up on the East Coast, there's like a similar mindset, and I ended up doing an internship out west and working with students there. Definitely because of the city that I was in, it was a very affluent city, but there was also different social classes. And so it was very interesting to see which students in particular social classes would be more authentic and transparent versus those that have a mask on that's up all the time. And so I think that was a huge challenge for me being in the area that I was in, because I would work with certain students, certain girls that I would immediately connect with, and they would slowly over time like start opening up, and then they would backpedal because it was like, oh my gosh, I took off the mask and I did not mean to. This is going to reflect poorly on my parents, my church, my pastor. Like, you could see the pressure that was placed upon them more than what I noticed in other areas of youth ministry that I was in. But that's not to say that that doesn't exist in any other youth ministry, but there in particular, it was, it felt like that was a cultural norm for that particular youth ministry that I was at.
Yes, and we've seen that too in ministry, where affluence is not always a bad thing, but yet you're right, that mask can go on, and so many other things that can go in that landscape. I agree. Any other successes or challenges that you might have, or maybe one quick thing, just as we wrap it up, as far as what maybe the discipleship material that you're using now? Are you doing any kind of standard material that you're using with where you're at, or that you've used in the past that was successful?
Yeah, currently I used a lot of Nancy Lee DeMoss's Lives That Young Women Believe. I've used that quite a bit with young students that I've worked with. Currently here, since our youth ministry kind of went through leadership change, we just hired a new part-time person. And so, and I feel so bad because here within her first year, it's COVID now. And so we're actually having to reevaluate a lot of things of how we do ministry. So as of right now, we are not heavily based on doing so much discipleship curriculum. Right now, it's more so like, how can we be caring for these students well who are overwhelmed, mentally fatigued, but still being present for when they do have those deep questions. So a lot of stuff I pull from resources like Nancy Lee DeMoss, or I've been using some of Jen Wilkins' material as well in terms of encouraging and pouring into students. So I think that's something that with discipleship is there's going to be curveballs thrown at different areas. And so sometimes you might have a game plan to use your curriculum, but you never know when a pandemic's going to hit, and then you have to change the game plan. So it's kind of like with landscaping, you know?
We never know, and now we do. It can happen anytime. So hopefully we won't continue on for very long. But Grace, these are great topics. So thank you for all that. We are going to end this conversation here, but would you stay on, and we're going to do a second conversation with you if you're willing to do that. And so, but thank you. Some of the things that we heard, just to wrap it up with Grace Crosby today, as far as building those relationships, discipleship, choosing correct materials, and also being able to be flexible even during this pandemic. So thank you, Grace, for joining us today. We look forward to hearing back from you. Hello, and I am Janet. We're back with Grace Crosby. This is NGM Features. And Grace, welcome back, and thank you for sharing a little bit about relationship building last time. And right now, I just want to take a few minutes just with you, as you've been doing 12 plus years of student ministry in so many different places in the country, but then also in different roles too. But I would love to hear your idea. Is there a creative idea that you have as far as girls ministry? Maybe an event. I know you love to do events as well. Is there something that you can remember back, or maybe you're doing currently, I don't know, that you can share with those that are listening today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest struggle that we have, I'm part of a very small youth ministry, and so small budget at times. So trying to figure out what you can do here in Central Florida that isn't Universal or Disney related. But one of the things that I suggested to our students was actually doing what we call flocking. And basically from up north, we called it forking. So you'd go and fork somebody's lawn and like write a message, and like someone would sponsor you in the church to go and prank somebody's lawn. Well, here in Florida, you can't necessarily just put plastic forks in the yard. And so we had to modify it. And so I discovered flocking, and you basically take kind of the plastic flamingos that are decorative in people's yards. And basically what we do is someone from the church will actually sponsor us, and we'll go and prank somebody's yard. And our high school girls have been loving it, especially since we've been coming out of COVID, pandemic, and self-quarantining. they think it's the most hilarious thing in the world that we go and we stick these flamingos in people's yards, and then basically our congregation of those people that got flocked, they wake up in the morning and they see flamingos, and actually like our students and like the kids in our church are actually getting excited, and they're going, are we going to be flocked next? Like, is the youth group going to come to our yard and do it? And so it's a lot of fun. And like, we'll sometimes like grab ice cream, or like we'll have a car with us as we go out and do this. So it's really inexpensive other than buying the flamingos, and you can just pick them up and reuse them as you go from like house to house.
I love that. I know you and I had talked about that a little bit earlier, and I'm like, what in the world? That is crazy. I mean, that is so Floridian, right? I can't imagine us doing that in Virginia, but I think it would be fun to try. So I love that. And you're right, you're living in a place where Disney World, right? You have so much competition. I think a lot of times youth ministries and those that are leaders are always thinking like, we can't compete, and we're not supposed to compete with Disney World. We can't compete with these bigger places. We can take them there, but you're right. And so again, you have made something where this is consistent. People are looking forward to it. They're looking at, trying to do something different. And especially during COVID time, right? When everyone is like in isolation, you can go drop off this flamingo in someone's yard. I love that. So great. Well, thank you so much, Grace. I hope this gives someone an idea, maybe down in Florida or maybe elsewhere, that you can do some fun things and don't have to be, tied down to where it's like we have to do the same old things. This is very creative. Thank you so much for your time, Grace, and the Lord bless you. And one last thing, if anyone wants to reach out to you, maybe you have some ideas and they want to reach out to you, how is a good way that someone could reach out to you if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, a great way to connect with me is that they can email me. Okay. And also, I already like Next Gen Matters. So for those of you who are following Next Gen Matters, I highly recommend that you should, but you should be able to see me in those that are following Next Gen Matters. So feel free to message me through Instant Messenger, through Facebook. So that's another good way to contact me as well.
Awesome.
But my email, it's so my email is gecro31@gmail.com. So that's the best way to reach me, through my email.
Yes, and we might just put that in the comments later on, so that'll be really, really good. Grace, thank you so much. And yes, for everyone that is listening, make sure you like and follow NGM if you aren't already. And so you're here listening to this, so I'm sure that you're hopping on here. We also have a website, so we invite you to look at that too. But Grace, thank you so much for your time, your energy, and for your commitment to student ministry. And the Lord bless you and all that.
Thanks, Janet.
Have a blessed day.